Hey guys, welcome back to Rave Reviews. My name's Chris, and today I checked out this new found footage movie called Dream Eater. I was very excited to check this one out. I saw the trailer, thought it looked interesting, but also because I'm in post-production for my mockumentary found footage movie called Creature of the Pines, so look forward to more information about that. But in the process of making a found footage movie, I obviously want to see what other people do. Now for me, the rules of found footage are pretty important. And I get it, you're a filmmaker, you want to do whatever you want to do with your film. You don't need to justify it to me, but if you're choosing to make a found footage movie, I think you're doing it for a reason. And there could be a couple of reasons. One could be because making a found footage movie in production can be a lot faster than standard coverage, standard cinematic look. Doing all the lighting, all that stuff takes an enormous amount of time, while found footage often, not all the time, often relies on a lot of practical lighting and is meant to feel a little bit anti-cinematic and more obviously real, authentic footage. But in choosing that, to give you that authentic feel, there are some basic rules or guidelines I feel like you want to try and follow. Namely, one, what is the justification for filming? Two, is there outside music, audio that wouldn't be there in the footage? And three, are you using also cinematic footage within your framework? And in this movie, it kind of violates all those rules. So yeah, there's justification for initially recording things. So the movie follows this woman who's documenting her boyfriend who suffers with parasomnia, which is where he, in the middle of the night when he's sleeping or dreaming, he does acts that he doesn't remember and they can turn violent. The movie opens with a 911 call where it's clear like he hurt himself while he was sleeping. And so they decide to go to this isolated cabin where she's gonna document all this, and then some crazy hijinks ensue. So the initial reasoning of, hey, I'm a documentary filmmaker, I want to document this. Also, the doctor said I should be documenting your parasomnia. Makes sense. However, there's so many times where they don't even bother to justify why the camera's rolling. There's establishing shots all the time that are like outside of the house, and it's like, did you go there and shoot that? I don't know, you didn't. There was never like a moment where you see her like setting up to shoot that, so it's obviously like feels very cinematic and takes you kind of out of that found footage feel. There's also tons of music that plays, building tone, which is kind of cheap, honestly, because music is like a cheat code in everything, in comedy, in horror, especially because immediately a musical track can elicit a tone that the visuals aren't quite, but when you marry a tone with a creepy visual, it also enhances it. But in found footage, when you shouldn't have the ability to just have this droning tone underneath, you kind of have to build the tension and the scares without it, making them more challenging for sure. But this movie forgoes that. It just has like creepy undertones of music and stuff with no justification for why. Also, the place they're staying at has random cameras put up inside. If it's supposed to be a rental, I'm not sure why those would be inside your Airbnb. I'd be a little freaked out about that, but I guess they're not. Then there's so many times where they don't justify why they're recording. Like there's a scene where he turns on the camera, goes upstairs to have a heart-to-heart with his girlfriend while she's taking a bath, and it's like, why would you be recording this? This is not justified in any way. They also turn their camera sometimes into like a night vision camera, which it looked like a DSLR or like an FX30 or some kind of small-bodied cinematic camera, which wouldn't have that. And I guess I'm getting nitpicky at that point, but So a couple other things about the production values of this movie that kind of bother me is it seems like they always haze the hell out of this house, like with a hazer. And it's like, were you burning cookies or something? Why does the house look so smoky all the time? And then finally with the production values, there's many times where it feels like the woman behind the camera, our lead, one of our leads, when she's like in a sequence where she's running or whatever, it just, I don't know, it felt ADR. It felt like disconnected from the footage. It felt like she was going afterwards as opposed to them filming it in the moment. And I get it, like, yeah, you want to clean audio, whatever, I don't care the justification there, but there feels like a disconnect for the viewer. Now the story, semi-interesting, this parasomnia thing, I was like, okay, on board for, I don't know if I've really seen anything about that before. I'm sure something exists, but I was like, all right, that's a cool framing device. However, it gets old, man, because the movie becomes repetitive. Every day, these two characters have these like kind of obnoxiously annoying conversations because the acting is not very good. And then every night, he has some kind of crazy episode where he's dreaming and it gets more and more unhinged. And by the second or third day, you would be like, I'm not filming this anymore. I'm fucking getting out of this place. We're gonna go get you professional help. but it doesn't happen. It becomes frustrating, but also then that framing dice becomes so repetitive to the viewer. And honestly, like 30 minutes in, you see where the movie's going, so not only does it get repetitive in their kind of story framing, but also it gets predictable. There is some found footage tropes in the scares. That didn't really bother me. Some of it was pretty creepy, but for the most part, I really wasn't scared by this film. And then the doctors that the woman talks to in this film are Dr. Snape and Dr. Armitage. So yeah, there's a scene in the movie that takes place during the day because he took a nap, and during his dream parasomnia event, he goes to try and stick his hand down the garbage disposal, but his girlfriend stops him. And then later that same day, she says, "I'm gonna get so drunk tonight," and there's a drinking sequence. And it's like, if your boyfriend literally just tried to stick his hand down the garbage disposal, and he's gonna go to sleep tonight and probably do more of those shenanigans, why are you getting drunk? It just makes no logical sense. And then the emotional core of the movie, like I said earlier, I hinted at earlier, I didn't think the acting was very good in this film. I didn't think it felt authentic or real. And I get like found footage is very hard because you're trying to find the balance between cinematic, anti-cinematic, and very natural kind of dialogue, overstepping each other's dialogue and stuff, the way that real people talk to each other. Because when you're watching a normal movie where it's very cinematic looking, the lighting's all dramatic and everything, you let some of the realism go, obviously. But when you're shooting a found footage movie, it's meant to feel like some guy just picked up a camera and started rolling. But when people are talking like they're kind of wooden or reading a script at times, or just not feeling like they're real people, it takes you out of it. Although I think that's kind of common in found footage movies, that the acting isn't always the best, so it didn't ruin the film for me. But even if the acting was good, the way the characters are written, they're a bit obnoxious and annoying at times. And yeah, they just really didn't land emotionally for me. I wasn't invested. So yeah, I wasn't a fan. Pretty disappointed in this film. But kudos to them for pulling off something on a very low budget and making something very competent. I'm sure other people will enjoy this. I'm sure I'm being a bit nitpicky, and maybe that's because I've been engrossed in the found footage world recently, like I said, with making my film, so maybe I'm being a little too harsh on the movie. But if you've seen it, let me know what you think. If there's anything I should be watching, let me know in the comments, and then I will catch you here next time, guys. Goodbye.